Now, if you broke the law during lockdown, your criminal record could be expunged. Deputy Justice Minister John Jeffrey has told Parliament's Justice Committee the department is considering introducing a bill to deal with cases where an admission of guilt fine has been paid. It follows concerns raised by the ACDP's Steve Swart, who says those who may have committed fairly minor indiscretions could struggle to find a job due to having a criminal record.
The fact that admission of guilts are attracting a criminal record, we're aware of that. The issue of not just with the COVID cases, but with admission of guilts attracting a criminal record is something we have been wanting to address, and it's something I think that is going to be in a judicial matters bill, or should have been brought if we had not had COVID or had the elections. But the idea would be for most admission of guilt matters not to have them getting a criminal record, because sometimes due process is not properly followed. People feel pressurized to pay the fine and don't realize that they're going to get a record which is going to affect their rights.
A code of conduct for law enforcement officials, security guard compliance and fake social accounts in the name of the Police Minister, Bheki Cele. That's our focus on our daily law and order crime feature. We are joined via Skype from Pretoria by the founder of Make SA Safe, Yusuf Abramji. Good afternoon, Yusuf. Always good to talk with you. Now, the Gauteng North High Court ruled that code of conduct be released for soldiers, police officers and Metro Police who are on the streets during the lockdown. This follows, of course, the death of a resident in Alexandra. How important is this ruling?
Good afternoon, Tony. Yes, we know that the Gauteng North High Court handed down the judgment on Friday, and Judge Hans Fabricius was very scathing in his judgment when he made the ruling in favor of the family of the victim. He's given the police, the South African National Defence Force and Metropolitan Police Departments 5 days to come up with a code of conduct. He's also said that this needs to be very widely publicized. He's also said that they need to give details of where people who have been abused, people that have been tortured, can make reports and can lodge complaints. The judge was very clear in the right to life, in the fact that even in a lockdown and even with the emergency laws, it doesn't give the police or anyone else the license to go and abuse and torture people. And I hope that the police, the South African National Defence Force, and the Metropolitan Police Departments will take note of this judgment, a very scathing one, but I think a significant one to protect the victims. And I think it once again raises the issue of constitutional rights and the right to life. And people cannot simply be abused, Tony. And I think this judgment will go a very long way to hopefully bring those crooked law enforcement officials to book.
Now, the Private Security Industry Regulation Authority is clamping down on non-compliance. What are their findings?
Well, we know that that CIRA is empowered by law to go and check on security companies that do not comply with the regulations. Very sadly and very unfortunately, it appears that many security guards are unregistered. That creates a serious security safety risk. In fact, last week alone, 141 arrests were made. The largest chunk of these people were people that were not registered with CIRA. Many of them were undocumented foreigners. Some people were using their private firearms in the execution of their official duties. So the directors of these companies are to be prosecuted, and CIRA says it will continue to clamp down because the security industry, Tony, is a very important one, and it has to be regulated. So these people cannot simply be a law unto themselves, and it appears that during the lockdown, many of these companies are taking advantage of the situation.
Now, Yusuf, the police ministry says General Cele does not have any social media account. So obviously, there are imposters, pretending to be him online. Are those imposters liable for prosecution?
Indeed, they are liable for prosecution. The ministry issued a statement on Friday saying that there were about 60 fake Twitter and Facebook accounts, some of them having photos of the minister which are about 10 years old. The biggest concern, according to the ministry, is that the minister received a lot of tip-offs on his mobile phone, and they are scared that some people will be passing on sensitive information, making tip-offs to these social media accounts. The one Twitter account has a following of just under 60,000, and they say this information ends up in the wrong hands of these imposters, it could pose a serious security risk. So the minister has now asked the Hawks to go and investigate all these fake accounts, to bring these people to book. And yes, in terms of the law, Tony, if you are impersonating someone, especially somebody high profile like this, with a lot of sensitive information that can go to the wrong people, these people are facing prosecution. So we'll probably see a lot of these accounts being closed, but who knows? We'll probably even see some criminal prosecution, although some politicians are arguing that the minister is now abusing his powers because he's putting the emphasis and he's trying to clamp down on all the fake accounts in his name. But I suppose that the police have a job to do, and they will have to bring these people to book.
Okay, nobody wants to have an imposter online. Very true. All right, thank you so much, Yusuf Abramjee there, the founder of Make SA Safe.